All right, we now welcome on in our very, very, very good friend, a Super Bowl tradition like none other here on the Dream Wager, the legend, Chris Thurston. CT, welcome back, man. Great to see you.
D-Rock, Elvis, always a pleasure to be with you guys. Super Bowl week. It's always kind of sad, right? Sad and exciting at the same time. We got one more football game left. Feel like this year went by really quick. A lot of people are saying that this isn't they're not excited about this Super Bowl matchup. I think it's a great matchup, and I'm looking forward to Sunday.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I was just telling Elvis the season flew by. The offseason is so long, and then the season goes by so quick. But yeah, it's good to be with you. It's long overdue since the last time you were on the show.
Sure.
But let's dive into the picks before we do for Super Bowl 59 down in New Orleans. How was your NFL season betting wise? Any big hitters, or I guess any team that kind of surprised you this season?
Football season was great, guys. It got off to a really, really slow start. I think week one in college football, I was 1 for 6. So put myself in a pretty big hole in college. And then NFL didn't really seem to get going around week 7 or week 8. And then, things just really started clicking towards mid-October, right through the end of the year. I had bunch of futures on Ohio State. That was my preseason pick to win the whole shebang, and I added along, of course, the season, especially after the Michigan loss. Added more there, plus 550, which was a better number than I got at the beginning of the year at 5-1. And then you guys saw what Ryan Day and company did there.
Yeah.
It was a great run, and that was a nice duo between, or I should say trio, between Chip Kelly, Ryan Day, and the defensive coordinator there, Jim Knowles, who just
left.
Unfortunately, left for a big contract with Penn State. So football season was great. So hoping to end things off where it started. My preseason pick, I'm sure we'll get into it. In July was the Eagles to win the Super Bowl at 17-1. So
great number. Great number. Yeah, that's usually what happens with teams winning the national championship. You see the DC go into Penn State. Chip Kelly, he's back and forth. I love what he's doing, going back to the pros, going to the Vegas Raiders. Obviously, it was a tough year for me. Jets killed me again this year. Hopes were high, not so good. Obviously, the Redskins, nice surprise for there. Jaden Daniels is legit. It honestly sucked to see the Bengals really, with the year Chase and Burrow had, it sucked to see them not in the playoffs because I think they could have scared some teams. And honestly, I think the biggest surprise for me, Chargers and Broncos. Broncos, Bo Nix is really good. Chargers, Jim Harbaugh and the boys, really disciplined, running the football well. Obviously, with the Chiefs being the wagon that they are, Broncos, Raiders on the come up. Raiders hiring Pete Carroll, like I said, Chip Kelly. Can you kind of see the AFC West being one of the toughest divisions moving forward the next few years?
Yeah, 100%. I think you said it perfectly. Like Harbaugh. I think he's what the Chargers needed there. How long have they been lacking a coach for out there in San Diego? I mean, I feel like they've had all the talent in the world in the last couple of decades, and the coaching is just not been there. I thought Peyton did a great job with the Broncos and the rookie quarterback there, Bo Nix. I don't think anybody saw that coming with what they did.
No.
And obviously you got the Chiefs, and now with the Raiders, who knows what Pete Carroll is going to be able to do? The new ownership with Brady getting involved here. I think that's AFC, man. It's just so dominant. How many teams and quarterbacks in the AFC? It's just wild, and no surprise, you got the Chiefs again here in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely loaded with all the talent, especially at the quarterback position in the AFC. Definitely think it's going to be a competitive division moving forward. But let's transition to a team that you and my co-host Elvis are familiar with, the New England Patriots. Obviously not the season you guys are used to seeing. You guys have some money, though, to spend. Changes are happening. Top 4 draft pick. So things are looking up. Elvis, what do you got for CT?
I know this is a Super Bowl special. People understand that, but we got CT here, fellow Pats fan. We got to get some Patriots questions in. So I apologize ahead of time. but I'm not that sorry about it. As a fellow Pats fan, I had to ask you. We got some familiar faces coming back, Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels. How soon do you think we could be right back at playoff caliber contention?
So this is a question I've been asked a lot lately, Elvis, doing sports radio here for 98.5 on Mondays and Saturdays, and I feel like the right answer is we took a lot of steps in the right direction, right? I don't think this is gonna be fixed overnight. I mean, there's they hired the right guy. I thought Vrabel should have been hired over Mayo last year. I thought having the promise there to Mayo was a mistake by the Krafts, and I think it's something that the Krafts wouldn't have made. I don't think Robert would have made that 10, 15 years ago. I feel like he's lost his fastball a little bit, and that was something that he made a mistake doing that with Mayo, but he had to honor it. I think Vrabel's the right guy for the job. He knows the culture. He's won Super Bowls here. He knows what it's like. And I think the Titans, I think it was outrageous that they got rid of Mike Vrabel, to be honest with you. Look what happened. No Vrabel with the Titans this year. I think Vrabel's a great coach. I just didn't understand that move. And I think that we're moving in the right direction here. I don't think things are going to be fixed overnight, Elvis, but we got money to spend, which is great. It would have been nice to have the number 1 draft pick, but not really sure what happened there week 18. Not only because it would have been great, but you could do a lot more things having the number 1 draft pick. You know what I mean? Like you got room to work here, and now you go from 1 to 4 just from winning that game versus the Bills in week 18. I think the future is going to be bright for the Patriots, but I don't expect it to be fixed in the next 1 to 2 years here, I'll say.
Yeah, I agree with that. The selfish Pats fan in me kind of want a quick turnaround, kind of like what we just saw in Washington with Daniels and the Commanders, because I think it's possible with Drake May, Vrabel now at the helm, and Josh McDaniels. I think he could develop him much quicker. I love how you kind of talked about it already. I hate to say it, but now with the 4th overall pick instead of the number 1 overall pick, I wish we could possibly still land Travis Hunter. I highly doubt it now at the number 4 spot. I wish we would have stood at number 1 so it give us leverage, trade away, move back, still possibly get Travis Hunter, who I think is the number 1 player in the draft. But who do you have your eyes set on at now, the number 4 overall pick?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I unfortunately don't think that that Hunter's going to be there either. What I really wanted to see, Elvis, to be honest with you, and I know we have a lot of holes here, but I think Abdul Carter is the best all-around player.
Stud.
Coming out of college right now. I mean, what he did versus Notre Dame in the semifinals was amazing to me. He was pretty much playing with a half of one arm. I call it a half. My brother went to Penn State. The kid's an absolute freak. We get some good information down there from that program. So I knew he was going to go that night. He was posting in his Instagram, the Darth Vader stuff from Star Wars, how he was in the chamber and he's coming back stronger and healthier. And man, that kid gave it his all. That's who I would have really liked to see. And I know we need weapons on offense, and we got to fix the offensive line.
We got the cap
here.
space for that. We
do.
Space.
100%. But I think with all that being said, I think Drake May will be the guy here. I think that that was the right draft pick last year, and he showed that. It was a tough season for the Patriots all around, but in the hard times, and there wasn't many good times, thought the kid fought pretty hard there, and he never gave up, and he took some big time hits. So I'm excited to see what Josh could do with him in the future here. And there's no telling what's going to happen with our draft picks, Elvis. Even with Bill gone, nothing surprises me what the Patriots are doing, man.
It's crazy because for me as a Jet fan, I was locked into Tankathon early on into the season. So early on in the NFL season, Abdul Carter was kind of projected around 7th, 10th. Oh my God, he shot up to like he's gonna be a top 5 pick. The guy is an absolute stud. I really hope he falls, but I don't think he does. I think maybe there's a possibility he goes to like the Browns at 2, and they go and get a quarterback through free agency, and then maybe that opens up an avenue for you guys to get Travis Hunter. But you mentioned about wide receiver needing help on offense because Drake May was at the Pro Bowl trying to recruit players. He said, you guys need a number 1 wide receiver. T. Higgins, Chris Godwin, Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, even Cooper Kupp now. He's on the trade block, surprisingly. He's set to hit the market. What do you think would be the best fit for this offense with Drake May and Josh McDaniels?
So you rattled off, 4 or 5 wide receivers there, maybe 6 of them. That would be great fits. You missed one, D-Rock, and I'm shocked you missed him because we're about to talk about him in about 5 minutes, and that's A.J. Brown.
Oh, wow.
Could be available, and that's who I think would be the best fit here. I think T. Higgins is going to be overpaid, as he should be, but I don't think he's worth what he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid Justin Jefferson money, which I think Justin Jefferson is here, and I think T. Higgins is here. But that's just where we are at in the NFL these days in 2025. Players get overpaid. A.J. Brown is my guy that I would like to see here in New England's locker room start of the 2025 season.
Do you worry about the locker room stuff, how he could be labeled a cancer, though, or no?
Yeah, I mean, D-Rock, honestly, all of these stars, right, could be labeled as a cancer, right? I mean, it's just ridiculous. You know, look at the Cheetah. I mean, he's gone down to Miami, and what has he done since he left KC? I mean, he got a nice payday, but do you think he'd rather be playing this weekend with his pal 15, or do you think he's happy watching that on the couch, talking shit on Twitter to the Olympic runner?
Yeah, exactly. It's insane. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see who you guys go and get. Like you said, you guys have a ton of money, so it will be interesting. But once again, we are joined with the great CT Betts. You guys can find him over on the Over Under podcast every Monday night, as well as the Double Down podcast with Kelly in Vegas. CT, let's head over to New Orleans for Super Bowl 59, a rematch we saw 2 years ago over in Arizona. Chiefs beat the Eagles 38-35. You have the infamous pass interference call. What was your initial reaction to the Super Bowl matchup? Because everyone is telling me, all the smarts, all the sharps, they're telling me the Eagles are the way better team on paper, but the game isn't played on paper. The only advantage, I think, and other people have told me as well, is the Chiefs have the advantage at quarterback and head coach. So what are your initial reaction?
I mean, I totally agree with what you just said. Yeah, I think the two advantages for the Chiefs, and the only two, and they're massive, right? They're absolutely massive. That's the trigger man 15 and the head coach with Andy Reid. I mean, those are significant advantages there, and we've seen it in the past. What those two will make you pay, and it's terrifying betting against them, right? Yeah. I mean, you got to be out of your mind.
Yeah.
Last week, or 2 weeks ago, championship weekend, I couldn't believe how much love there was for the Bills. Yeah. It was absolutely wild. I went here to the Encore Sportsbook in Boston, and I'm not even kidding you. The place was packed. There was 5 of us, 5 out of probably 350 people that had tickets on the Chiefs. Everybody in the book had Bills tickets and were rooting for the Chiefs to lose. And I think that just shows you, one, everybody's just sick and tired of the Chiefs winning every year, and the same old story here. And now coming into the Super Bowl weekend, it seems like those same people that were betting against them, they're like, oh wow, well we can't do that. What were we thinking? And they're let's get back on the 15 train here. Yeah. This is the Super Bowl. Andy Reid and Mahomes, they don't lose the big ones. And trust me, I totally get that. That was pretty much my whole handicap last year. I like to think that I'm usually on the sharper side. The Niners were the sharp side last year, and the Niners probably should have won that game. I was with the public, and I was the one saying you can't bet against 15 and Andy Reid in the big one, and I didn't feel like I got a little lucky there and caught a break. But I think this year we'll get into it a little bit. My mind is flipped a little bit.
I think that's exactly what you said. I think people are just so they don't want to see greatness. They just hate Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs for winning so much that they don't care, that they're just gonna bet the other side regardless. Right. So be my guest. Do what you want. I cannot do that. What is your take on the spread? Because right now, as we sit here Wednesday night, Chiefs still a short favorite, but with the amount of people that we've just talked about and the public going to be on the Eagles, you got to expect the number to move a little closer to kickoff, around maybe towards even money. Could you actually see the Eagles becoming the favorite? Right now, 69% of the bets are on the Eagles, and it seems like the money is coming in on them as well.
Yeah, I could. I've talked to some pretty big time odds makers out in Vegas, and they could see the Chiefs they could see the Eagles flipping to the favorite. But with that being said, D-Rock, once that does happen, and I think this weekend we'll see it. I think we're going to see pick, and I do think we'll see Eagles -1. But you two are smart guys. When the Eagles flip to the fave, now all the betting public makes their bets when?
Sunday morning.
Correct. Late Saturday night, Sunday morning, the majority. Now when they see that, KC and Mahomes as a dog, and then the Chiefs money will come back funneling in. Honestly, D-Rock, I think the game closes probably right around where it is. Chiefs -1, pick 1.5. I mean, it's like the public money. This game is just so it's bet so much with tickets and money count that it takes so much to move the number, because there's so many ways that the book is going to end up winning anyways, with the million props that there is, the size and the totals. They're going to end up making out fine regardless what the outcome here. So it takes a big time few bets, not just one, to move the needle here.
We're sharp guys. Like you said, you have a 17-1 ticket on the Eagles. You've been back and forth this past week or two. What are we feeling here? -1.5 Chiefs, +1.5 for the Eagles. We going to take the spread? We taking the money line? What is the play, CT?
Yeah, a little bit of both, guys. A lot of people asking me, CT, what are you doing with your ticket? Well, honestly, I was just telling you how bad my college basketball season has just flipped in a matter of 7 days. So I'm pretty transparent. My football season was great. Guys, I was lucky enough. I gave out 2 NFL futures this year, and one was the Eagles, and that was in July at 17-1. And then I gave out the Chiefs +450 in October. So those are the only 2 tickets I have in pocket. I'm sitting pretty good going into Super Bowl weekend here. But I am making a bet, and I'm betting more on the Philadelphia Eagles here. I bet +1.5. I bet some money line. I didn't get the best of it on the money line. There was +110 available. I think I had sitting on +106 here on a few tickets here. And I like the Eagles, man. I think that they were a little too early, guys, 2 years ago, with Hurts just kind of being fresh in the league here. I thought they were a little too soon, and the coordinators weren't there for the Birds. And in the offseason, what they went and do? They fixed big problems here. They needed somebody to call the plays offensively, and I think Kellen Moore has done an unbelievable job. More importantly, they fixed the defensive problems, and that, especially in the secondary. And Vic Fangio has come in and cleaned this defense up. The draft picks that they made, between Cooper DeJean, I'm a big Iowa football guy, Iowa Hawkeyes. Kid's an absolute stud. He's going to be in the league a long, long time. Mitchell out of Toledo. These kids have stepped right in. I mean, people forget, guys, these kids are rookies. And Fangio has them playing at an absolute elite level here. And I think between Fangio, Moore, and everybody wants to bash Sirianni. I mean, Sirianni just this year, he won the most games in Eagles history. Everybody wants to call him a moron, Elvis. I feel like he knows somewhat what he's doing, right?
You got to know what he's doing. You got to give him credit. I know a lot of people bash him, but you got to at least admire the run he's been on since he became the head coach of the Eagles. This is what, 2 Super Bowl appearances in just 4 seasons. Got to
Yeah.
give the man credit.
Little weird, but the guy's a winner. I'm a little weird, and people it was crazy to me, CT. People were trying to get him for his job. Him yelling at the fans early in the season, calling for his job. And now look, 2 of the last 3 years into the Super Bowl. It's remarkable. So going with the Eagles, I know you were just saying a few minutes ago you'd be crazy to bet against Patrick Mahomes, but here we are a few minutes later taking the Eagles. I don't know if you're a total guy, but total sitting around 48.5. I do see some 49s out there as well. Again, from everyone that I've talked to who I suspect are pretty on the sharper side, they love the over, but for some reason I'm thinking we could see more of a defensive type of game here, especially early on. If you were betting on the total, how would you approach it?
Yeah, so I'm not really a totals guy in the NFL. I'm more of a side guy. So my initial reaction, though, taking a look at it, it hit 50 for a little bit, D-Rock, for like a cup of coffee. And I would have probably bet the under there, but I missed it there. Now it's got bet down to 48.5. And I'm starting to think about the game a little bit more. And I do think that it's going to be high scoring here. If I had to bet it, gun to the head right now, I would probably bet the over 48.5. That is not a play for me. That's nothing strong. That's just me from watching both teams and the NFL all year long on that turf down there in New Orleans. I feel like that's built for speed. And both these teams know how to get in the end zone. And I know we didn't really see it from the Chiefs this year. It wasn't like the explosive Kansas City teams that we've seen. But let's face it, this is Patty in the playoffs, and even though they don't have the weapons that they usually do, they're going to be able to find the end zone. They're going to be able to score some points, and we know that that Philly's not kicking field goals, and they're going to be getting 6 as well.
Yeah, eventually, as aggressive as they are in Sirianni, they're going to go for 2. You're going to see that at some point. I could guarantee that. You saw in the first game 2 years ago in Allegiant Stadium, or no, I think it was at State Farm, in Glendale, 38-35. So it was a shootout, especially in the second half. Let's go over to the prop market. Before you rattle off your most,
I'm pretty sure that was the second highest score in Super Bowl of all time. So
yeah,
I like the over as well.
Let's head on over to the prop market. Before you rattle off your most confident or your favorite props, do you think there are any prop bets that kind of carry a high level of risk? Like, for example, the opening kickoff to be a touchback. I know that's like one of the most popular bets. We even talk about it every year that you come on. Do you think there are any high-level risk prop bets out there that bettors should be worried about or take into account?
That was a bet that before they changed the rule, D-Rock, I used to bet that every year. No on the touchback. And I would bet that, the adrenaline would be going and that whoever was receiving the kick, whether it's the Chiefs or the Eagles in this stance, or in this case, this weekend, would want to return it and get it going. You're always getting plus money on that. Since the rule has changed, guys, I would probably bet the no, but you got to lay a pretty big number. I think it's like minus 285. The last I saw. So the long story to answer your question is here in the Super Bowl. If you want to make money on the prop market, and I'm not a prop guy, so I'm not going to stand here and tell you I am. I probably bet props 2 games a year. This being one of them, and it's not many. I do have 4 or 5 that I'll give out for this show, but you got to be willing to lay some juice. And this is the Super Bowl, and this is the game where I'm okay doing it. And I wouldn't advise that in any other scenario outside of this game, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. What about, because I've rattled off a few, and I agree. I'm not a prop guy as well. I'll find some markets that I like throughout the season, but I really don't dive too deep into the props. One prop that I really like that I kind of been cashing on this postseason, Saquon's longest rush. I mean, the guy's fucking fantastic. Over 24.5 longest rush yard. I love that. We did it in one play in the NFC Championship game. I also like Dallas Goedert, over 51.5 receiving yards. You know how Kansas City struggles with the tight ends. They're going to be on A.J. Brown. I think Devontae Smith, he could have a really big game. He's torched the Kansas City Chiefs as well. I think he's very sneaky. And one interesting prop I found this morning, just diving into it, the fourth quarter rushing yards for both quarterbacks. Mahomes is sitting at 4.5 -110, and Hurts is at 6.5 -110. The only worry I have is the kneel downs at the end of the game, but it seems too good to be true. So thoughts on those, and then I guess just go through the 4 or 5 props that you really like.
Well, the kneel down one, I remember. I can't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago. By Mahomes kneeling on. It was 2 years ago. I had a few buddies who had big time bets on his under rushing yards, and by him going back and kneeling down, they were able to cash
like 7 yards. One of those.
Yep. My good friend Ariel Epstein. That was one of her biggest props, and she got the cash from Mahomes kneeling the ball out. So
wow,
those ones, D-Rock. I feel like I don't have an edge because you really don't know what's going to happen there at the end of the game. With that being said, I think the Eagles are going to win the game. So I don't think that Mahomes is going to be kneeling the ball out. But that's just something I guess you have to take a look at what you think, what your side is in the game, what you think is going to happen, and then kind of make your prop bets from there, right? Decide on what you like for the side and the total, and then, take a look at the prop market, go from there and see where you feel like you have an edge. I don't bet anything that I feel like I don't have an edge.
What are your 4 or 5 that you like, you want to give out that you're most confident in?
Yeah, sure. So I like where your head's at with Saquon, and call me CT Square. Don't care. I bet Saquon anytime TD -176. I bet it again today -190. Think this is mispriced here. Think this should be -240, -250, kind of where they had King Henry priced at for the Ravens. I think this is a massive discount for Saquon. He's going to get in the end zone. I mean, we watched him all year and all playoffs. It's like he's been shot out of a cannon, and that's their guy. Like that's who they're going to go to. Even though when he needs a breather, Gainwell's great to come in there and grab a few carries for him. But Saquon's going to get in the end zone there, guys, and I have no problem laying the juice. So I laid it with Saquon there. Great minds think alike. D-Rock, I bet Dallas Goedert over 51.5 receiving yards as well. I feel like I've been on a lot of shows in the past week and a half, and this is a pretty popular play, but square plays win a lot too, guys. And he's been a beast, man. He's been an absolute beast all playoffs, and he's really become Jalen Hurts' security blanket. And it's no secret here that the Chiefs have been the worst team covering tight ends in the league all year long. And I feel like if Chris Jones gets to Jalen Hurts pretty quick, he's going to look to Dallas Goedert. That's his guy he likes to go to, and he knows he's probably going to be either in one-on-one or he's going to have run a second route and be open there. So I expect him to go over 51.5 yards. So that's the second one I played. Played Juju Smith. Over 1.5 receptions. Okay. A lot of people looked at me like I was crazy for betting this one. Well, I don't think so, because obviously all anybody's talking about is Xavier Worthy, and as they should be. I mean, the kid's been an absolute stud. He's been a pleasant surprise for KC this year. I think that everybody's going to be focused on Worthy, and Juju is gets 2-3 targets a game. I feel like this is going to be like a breakout game for him, where Mahomes is going to have to throw the ball, because I don't think they're going to be able to run it. So I expect him to throw it quite a bit, and he's not going to be able to go to Kelsey and Worthy every single time. I feel like Juju's going to turn into McCole Hardman of the past couple of years in the Super Bowl and turn into his guy. I think that's a great bet. So I bet Juju.
Was that at -126? Because that's what I'm seeing right now.
I bet -110 on Sunday. It did get juiced up. I'd still lay -120, -126.
For the people listening out there, I also love his over 16.5 receiving yards, just because I feel like Juju has earned Patrick Mahomes' trust when he needs a first down, he needs a big catch, and Travis Kelce's getting double teamed. He knows if he looks for Juju Smith is going to come down with a ball and most likely get some yak yards after the catch as well.
Very well put, Elvis. I couldn't agree more. And I'll add on to that, Elvis, because you're a Pats fan like myself. It's kind of crazy what 15 is able to do to these receivers, right? When Juju was here in New England, he was pretty much a dead corpse. And look what 15 is able to do to guys like what they were telling Schuster that he shouldn't even be in the league anymore. Now look at him. I mean, yeah, he's getting these little dump off passes and he's ripping off 25, 30 yards. That's just the Mahomes effect. It's just kind of wild. I got one more, and this is my best prop that I have. It's one I think I gave out on this show last year, and it got the cash, and that's Kansas City to kick a longer field goal than the Eagles. And you combine that minus 120, guys, and I feel like that should be minus 150, minus 160, and I think that's a great price for a couple reasons, right? We've seen Jake Elliott and how he struggled literally pretty much the whole second half of the season. And the last or 2 weeks, I keep saying last week, 2 weeks ago in the NFC Championship, he had one field goal attempt. He was 0 for 1. Versus the Rams, the longest field goal he kicked was 44 yards. Green Bay, 32 yards. The last game of the year, Dallas, was 31. Okay, he hasn't kicked a 50-yard field goal since December 22nd, and that was versus the Commanders. Okay, another reason is I don't feel like the Eagles are going to kick very many field goals because I feel like Sirianni and Kellen Moore knows that they're going to have to score and get in the end zone, and field goals aren't going to win this game versus KC. So if it's 4th and short, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, I expect Sirianni to go for it, and I expect him to want to get into the end zone. And to be honest with you, I don't think Sirianni trusts Jake Elliott very much either after his woes missing some extra points there this postseason. And Butker, we know that coach Andy Reid really trusts him, and they'll kick the field goal. They have no problem. If this is a 50, 55 yarder, they're going to kick it, and they have a lot of confidence that Butker's going to make that kick. And I think he will as well. And I think that's a great bet. KC minus 120 to kick a longer field goal than the Eagles.
Yeah, I love that bet just because I know a lot of people probably forgot because the game got so out of hand, especially in the second half. But Jake Elliott missed a 53-yard field goal in the first half of the NFC Championship game. He went 0 for 1.
0 for 1.
Field goal attempts in that game. I know a lot of people forget because the game got out of hand.
Correct.
Everyone is, all my Philly fans, all the people in Philadelphia, they are sick and tired of Jake Elliott. They're going to run that man out of town. CT, this was amazing, man. Before we let you go, we need a final score prediction. Obviously, you're on the Eagles. What do we got? Final score, Super Bowl 59.
All right, so let's go. You're the first person that's asked me that so far on doing all these shows. So we're going to go 31-24. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Wow. And it goes over. You cover. You cash the 17-1 plus 106, and it goes over. CT, we appreciate the hell out of you, man. Thanks again for coming on, giving out the people some winners. We'll definitely get you back on in the off season. But tell everyone where they could find you and your plays.
Yeah, guys, at CTBets16 on Twitter. Everything is for free. Everything I play, I tweet out on Twitter or give out on one of my shows. I do the 98.5 Over Under podcast with my partner, Dan Lifshatz. On Fridays, usually we post the Double Down with KIV and CT podcast. That's usually out by Thursday night, Friday afternoon. And then on Saturday morning, I'm in studio with Kendra Middleton and Dan Lifshatz on 98.5. And then Wednesday nights, I'm on Sports Grid TV. So a lot going on, but you could always catch me on my Twitter page at CTBets16. It's the best way, guys, and I appreciate the hell out of you. Always a pleasure being with you guys, and I wish you the best of luck. And let's cash some tickets.
Thanks, CT.